Hello, everyone. This month, as we focus on end time prophecy or eschatology, I want us to consider the coming of the antichrist. I entitled that two-part devotion, What You Should Know About the Antichrist. Bible prophecy of the end time speaks of a mysterious figure called the Antichrist. And that is in 1 John chapter 2 and verse 18. He's also called the man of sin in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 3, and the false prophet in Revelation chapter 13, who will come on the scene before the second coming of Jesus Christ. But even before his appearance, Scripture teaches a spirit of Antichrist is already present as a sign that we are in the last days. The term Antichrist is used 5 times in the Bible, and that is in 1 John chapter 2, verses 18 and 22, also in 1 John chapter 4, verse 3, and 2 John chapter 1 and verse 7. So what about the Antichrist that the Apostle John refers to? Understand that the term Antichrist simply means against Christ. As the Apostle John records in 1st and 2nd John, the true identity, in other words, how can you identify the Antichrist? And that is denying the Father and the Son, does not acknowledge Jesus Christ, and denies that Jesus came in the flesh. There have been many antichrists, according to 1 John chapter 2 and verse 18. But there is also the coming of the Antichrist himself in person. So I'd just like us to concentrate a little bit on the spirit of Antichrist. Because according to 1 John chapter 4, verses 2 and 3, we see that it says, by this you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is of God. And every spirit that does not confess that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, which you have heard was coming and is now already in the world. Now, it is important to understand in the context in which John made these statements. In other words, during John's time, there were predominant worldview when he wrote this letter, suggested that diverse spirits were at work in the world. There were many false teachings, mystery religions, spiritual experiences, and variations of Christianity. These were emerging at the time. The spiritual atmosphere was not unlike the one present in our world today. People entertaining countless views regarding truth. John presented a conclusive answer for scanning through this variety of beliefs and teaching. He instructed his readers to pay close attention and test the spirits. In 1 John chapter 4 and verse 1, he said, "Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirit whether they are of God, because many false spirits have gone out into the world." But the question is, how do we test the spirits? How can we discern which teachers are false from those imparting truth? How do we recognize the spirit of the antichrist? Now understand that this spirit, according to John, were not merely disembodied supernatural beings. John is saying to his readers that a prophet or teachers was the actual mouthpiece for the spirit or for the spirit. Spiritual teachings are propagated through human spokesperson. Teachers of truth are filled with the Spirit of God and thus are agents to speak for God. On the other hand, teachers of falsehood are spreading the doctrines of demons. Now, this is how 1 John chapter 4 and verse 1 puts it. Now, the Spirit expressly says that in latter times some will depart from the faith, giving heed to deceiving spirit and doctrines of demons. So, test number 1 speaks to doctrines or theology that is teaching of God. 1 John chapter 4 and verse 2 clearly teaches, "By this you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is of God." It will be important to ask, does the person teaching, acknowledging that Jesus Christ is fully God and fully man, has come in the flesh? If the answer is yes, then we know the Spirit of God inspires that person. On the other hand, if not, his entire teaching ought to be rejected. This particular test was especially appropriate in John's day, as the heresies of Gnosticism was becoming prevalent. Gnosticism taught that Jesus only appeared to have a human body, but was not actually a flesh and blood person. Next, we see that John tells us in 1 John chapter 4 and verse 3, "And every spirit that does not confess that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, which you have heard was coming and is now already in the world." So anyone who does not acknowledge Jesus Christ as the Bible presents him is inspired by the spirit of Antichrist. As already said, the word Antichrist means against Christ. So all those who say that Jesus is not from God or Jesus is not God are controlled by the spirit of the Antichrist. Understand, beloved, that Satan opposes Christ, and he desires to deceive people into a false belief of who Jesus is. The spirit of the Antichrist teaches against Christ. To twist the truth about Jesus Christ is to pervert the gospel. The devil mission is to spread lies about Jesus Christ and keep people in the dark. That is his mission, right? To spread lies and to keep people in the dark. The Bible tells us, for many deceivers have gone out into the world who do not confess Jesus Christ as coming in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist. That's in 2 John chapter 1, verse 7. We can equate the spirit of the antichrist as the birds that eat the seed along the path in Jesus' parable, that is in Mark chapter 4, verses 4 and 15. It is the God of this age who blind the minds of unbelievers, keeping them from seeing the light of the gospel that display the glory of Christ. And we can look that up in second Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 4. It is the father of lies, according to John chapter